All right, so we're doing section 5.1, which is called simplifying rational expressions. Now, the word rational basically is the same as a fraction, okay? So, in other words, we're going to be simplifying fractions, but not like fractions like 4 over 8. Like, we're going to be doing fractions that have expressions on them. So, two terms, three terms, expressions divided by maybe a single or double or triple term expression. So, it could be a binomial divided by a trinomial, or a trinomial divided by another trinomial. So it just depends on what they want to do. Okay. So sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're harder. It just depends. Okay. So in this case, when I'm going to do something like example one, I'm going to focus on the parts. Okay, the top part and the bottom part. So I'm going to start with the top, and I'm going to basically look at it. I'm going to write it out right here. P squared plus 5p plus 6. And I'm going to try to factor it if possible, which I know it is when it's possible. So the way I'm going to factor this is using the x method, right? So I know that a is 1, b is 5, and c is 6. So a times c, that's 1 times 6, that's 6, and b is 5. So the two numbers that I want to use that multiply to 6 and add up to 5 would be positive 2 and a positive 3. Right? A positive 2 and a positive 2. That's going to give me a multiplication of 6 and an addition of 5. So these are good. Now, I have to divide by 1 because 1 is a, but dividing by 1 doesn't do anything, so I don't have to worry about it. So my answer is going to be p plus 2, p plus 3. So I'm going to write that on top, okay? So I'm going to put p plus 2, p plus 3, divided by. And now I'm going to look at the bottom portion, the p plus 2. So I'm going to kind of change the color here. P plus 2. I'm going to write it down at the bottom. Is there anything I can factor from that binomial? Do they have a number in common? No. A letter in common? No. And it's not an x method. It's not a difference of two squares. And I know it's not a difference of two squares because it doesn't even say p squared, right? And plus, it's an addition. It's not a subtraction. Difference means subtract, right? I know it's not a trinomial to do the x method with because it's only two terms. It's a binary. Okay, so there's nothing I can do with that one. So basically, my answer is p plus 2. Okay, so um, so the simplification has been done. Now you have to look at top and bottom and ask yourself, what can I cancel, if any? Or what can I cancel from top and bottom? The p plus 2. So this will cancel that. So all that's left is p plus 3. So p plus 3 will be my solution for this problem. Okay, that's simplify. All we're doing is simplifying these things. So p plus 3 will be my simplified. So notice what we've done, we're now applying it to new information, right? I'm having to get this trinomial and break it down using the x method. I'm getting a binomial, and even though I didn't do anything to the p plus 2, okay, even though I didn't do anything to it, but I still went through the process of, does it have a GCF? Can I do the x method? Can I do difference of two squares? What can I do with it? When I realize there's nothing I can do with it, fine, I wrote it back, and then I cancel stuff out. Okay, so that's going to be our job in this homework assignment. Okay, because we're going to have to take things a step at a time and go through the process of, can I simplify? Okay, can I factor? So when you look at example number 2, again it says simplify. We have a binomial divided by a trinomial. So we're going to do it a piece at a time. So let me take the top part first. Okay, so 3k minus 9. There's somebody. So should look inside that little part. So what can I factor out of 3k minus 9? Because it's not a trinomial. So I can't use that. A 3, right? I can take a 3 out. And that'll give me k minus 3. And that's it. There's not much more I can do with it. The k minus 3 is not 3 terms, so I can't use the x method. It is a difference of two numbers, k minus 3, but it's not a difference of two squares. So it's not k squared minus uh, some number that has a square root, right? So I'm done. That one's finished. I'm going to put 3 times k minus 3. I'm going to put a division symbol. And now I'm going to write down the bottom part. So 2k squared minus 9k plus 9. Now this one is a trinomial, so I am going to try to do the x method. Okay, so I know that a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 9, and c is equal to 9. Now, since a is equal to 2, that means I do have to divide at the end, right? It's not a 1, so I'm going to have to divide at the very end by 2. But I have my ABCs listed out, so let me go ahead and do the x method here. 8 times 3, that's 2 times 9, that's 15. On the bottom, I'm going to put a minus 9, so that's where you put your b value. So what two numbers multiply to 18 that add up to a negative 9? All right, negative 3 and a negative 6. Okay, negative 3 times negative 6 is 18. Negative 3 plus a negative 6 is a negative 9, so I'm good. So I'm going to have to divide by 2 because that's my 8. Now on the right side, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, so that's good. And on the left side, well, negative 3 divided by 2, I can't do that, so it just stays the way it is. So here are my factors. This is going to be k minus 3 halves, k minus 3, or 2k minus 3 times k minus 3. That's my factor form for that trinomial. So let me write it back into the original problem. 2k minus 3 times k minus 3. What can I cancel? The k minus 3, right? So I can get rid of the k minus 3. And all that's left is 3 over 2k minus 3. Now, I want to warn you guys, because it happens all the time. Sometimes people will do this. They'll say, oh, this 3 cancels with that 3. Don't ever do that, okay? You'll notice the 2k minus 3, I left it in a parenthesis. That means that 2k minus 3 is stuck like glue. The only way you can get rid of 2k minus 3 is if another 2k minus 3 was above it. Like, that has to match, okay? You can't just, like, chop things up, right? There's a 2 here, and there's a 2 up there. Well, I'll just remove them. It doesn't matter if they're together or something else. No, it does. If they're stuck together, that's why I'm using parentheses to kind of remind you, like, okay, this is stuck, okay? Don't just chop off them. Leave it like that, or answer stuff. Okay? So, when you're doing these things, just kind of be careful at the very end, like when you think you're done, like just focus on what's there and ask yourself, can I cancel out? Like, okay? In this case, so you can see this one required a little bit more work than the previous one, right? Because the previous example, I just factored the top, but the bottom, I couldn't do anything, right? This one, I was able to factor the top and the bottom. Granted, the top was easier to factor than the bottom one but at least, we did both and we got an answer. Now, sometimes they don't look that difficult, and this one isn't too bad, okay? So you will get problems that are a lot easier. So I think there's a problem like in homework that's like a 10 minus 5 over a 5. So that one's pretty quick, pretty simple. So we have a top and a bottom. Like I told you guys, deal with them piece at a time. So starting off with the top, 25 n squared. Well, this is a monomial. So since it's a monomial, there's nothing you can really do to it. Okay? It doesn't have anything you can factor out or anything like that. It's just 25 n squared. So 25 n squared. Nothing to do with that. So you don't have to write it out. Next time you do just one term, you can just write it. Okay? Now, Let's look at the bottom part. So I have 10n squared plus 15n. What can I factor out of that? An n. What else? 5. And a 5. Right? I can take out a 5n. So when I do that, that becomes 2n plus 3. Now look at the thing inside of the parentheses. Notice it's just 2 terms. It doesn't have anything else in common with PCS. And it's not 3 terms, so I can't use X method. It's not a difference of 2 squares because it's not even a difference, right? So we're done with the bottom one. So here we go. 5n times 2n plus 3. Now remember how I told you that if the parentheses is stuck like glue, right? You can't mess with it unless you got matching parts. If it's not in the parentheses, I can cross that out. So you see 25 and 5. So how many times is 5 go into 25? 5 times, right? So I'm going to put a 5 there. This becomes a 1. And then what's n squared divided by n? I can cancel one of them out, right? This n will go away, and this will become a power of 1. So my final answer looks like this. 5n over 2n plus 3. Because the 25 got reduced by the 5. The n squared got reduced by the n. Okay? So the bottom portion, the 5n, basically got wiped out. They became a 1 and a 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. You don't see it. Okay? But the top part, the 25 became a 5. The n squared became an n to the push. Right? So again, this one looks easier, but sometimes I always tell people the ones that are easier, sometimes they're the harder ones to do. They're more confusing. I would prefer having a trinomial over a trinomial. I know I do X methods and cancel stuff out, and I'm good. But sometimes these can be a little tricky. So here's the last one. Again, I don't like to do examples just to do them. I like to do them because they're showing you different things that you might see, right? So this one right here is going to show you something that you haven't seen yet. And then after that, all the example types have been shown. You should be able to do your homework because we've done different squares, GCF, trinomial factoring with X method, all that. So like I've done before, I'm going to take the top and factor that if I can. Notice it's not 3 terms, so I'm not going to use the X method. It is 2 terms. I notice subtraction, and I see an n squared in the front. So it's probably a difference of 2 squared. Okay? So I'm going to try it. Something squared minus something squared. Well, let's try the numbers first. What squared is 4? 2. And what squared is m squared? Just the 1m, right? Number. So that means it is a difference of 2 squares. It's going to be m minus 2, m plus 2. So that's going to go on top. M minus 2, m plus 2. Now, I'm going to get the bottom part. Okay? So 2 m to the 4th minus 2 m to the 5th. Alright, it's not a trinomial, right? It's not 3 terms, so I don't have an X method. But it is 2 terms. Can I factor anything out? What can I get out? A 2 and m to the, not even second, I can go higher, to the 3rd. They both share at least 3m, right? One has 4, one has 3, so they both have at least 3. So when I do that, I'm going to take 2m cubed out. So when I reduce this, it's going to be m minus 1. So let me put that right here. 2m cubed times m minus 1. Okay. Can I cancel anything out? No, I can't. Right? It would have been great. If it would have said m minus 2 on the bottom, then I could have canceled out the m minus 2. But nothing happened. So I factored it, and I mean, I did what I was supposed to do, but there's nothing I can do. Again, do not do this, okay? Don't say like there's a 2 here, there's a 2 here, that's not. Don't do that, okay? Yes, you can cancel out the bottom two because that one's not in the parentheses. But the other two, they're in parentheses, so don't just knock them out. Okay? That's usually the number one mistake that people do that get the answer wrong. So, there you go. That's my answer. Nothing happened. I factored it. I did what they wanted me to do, but nothing got simple. So that's what you guys are going to do for homework today. It is. It's not like it's more difficult than what you've been doing. You're just factoring still. But now you're going to have to take that extra step of seeing, like, should I cancel from top to bottom? Okay. So let me stop this here and give you guys